Most people think they have a money problem. They don't. They have a belief problem. And that belief is quietly stealing years from their life. Right now, somewhere in the world, a person with less talent than you, less education than you, and maybe even less intelligence than you, is making 10 times more money than you. Not because they got lucky, not because life is fair, but because they understand something most people never learn. Something that keeps millions trapped in the same financial reality for decades. A reality where every month feels the same. Wake up, work, pay bills, worry, repeat. And one day, look back wondering where all the years went. The scary part? Most people never realize what's happening. They think they're moving forward. But they're actually running on a treadmill. Moving, sweating, trying, yet staying in exactly the same place. And if you don't understand what you're about to hear, you might spend the next 10 years doing the same thing. Working harder, getting older, feeling exhausted, while your financial life barely changes. Because the truth about money is far more shocking than people think. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Imagine this: a young man graduates from college. He's excited, ambitious, ready to build a successful life. He gets a job. His family celebrates. His friends congratulate him. Everything seems perfect. His first salary arrives. He feels proud, independent, successful. For the first time in his life, he has money of his own. Then something happens, not immediately, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. His expenses rise. He upgrades his phone, starts eating out more, buys things to reward himself, takes loans, increases his lifestyle. Nothing extreme, just normal things, things everyone does. Months pass, years pass. His income increases, but somehow his stress increases too. He earns more, yet feels poorer. And this is where the trap begins. Because most people believe money problems disappear when income increases. But income doesn't solve bad money psychology. In fact, it often makes it worse. Think about that. If earning more automatically created wealth, every highly paid worker would be rich. But that's not what we see. Some people earn massive salaries and remain financially stressed, while others earn modest incomes and quietly build wealth. Why? Because wealth is not created by income. It's created by behavior, and behavior comes from psychology. This is the first shocking truth. Most people stay poor because they never learn how money actually works. They learn mathematics, history, science, geography, but nobody teaches them how wealth is built. Nobody teaches them how money flows. Nobody teaches them how financial decisions compound over decades. So they enter adulthood financially blind. Imagine trying to drive through a city at night without headlights. That's how millions approach money, working hard, trying their best, but unable to see where they're going. And when people don't understand money, they become emotional. They buy to impress, spend to escape stress, consume to feel important. And emotions are expensive, very expensive. Have you ever noticed something strange? When people feel insecure, they often spend more, not less. Someone feels lonely, they shop. Someone feels stressed, they order expensive food. Someone feels unsuccessful, they buy luxury items. Someone feels rejected, they spend money for temporary happiness. For a few moments, the purchase feels good. The brain releases dopamine. Everything seems better. Then reality returns, and the cycle starts again. What looks like a money problem is often an emotional problem wearing a financial mask. That's why many people stay trapped. They try to solve emotional pain with spending. But spending can never fix what only growth can heal. The rich understand this differently. Not all rich people, but many, they know that money is a tool, not therapy, not validation, not identity, a tool. And tools are meant to build things, not impress people. Yet millions spend their entire lives trying to look rich instead of becoming rich. And those two paths lead to very different destinations. Think about two people. The first buys a luxury car. Everyone notices. Everyone is impressed. The second quietly invests money into learning valuable skills. Nobody notices. Nobody claps. Nobody is impressed. 5 years later, their lives look completely different. Because wealth often grows in silence, while poverty loves attention. That's a truth social media rarely shows. Open your phone, scroll for 5 minutes. You'll see expensive vacations, luxury watches, fancy restaurants, designer clothes. People showing success. Very few people showing discipline. Very few showing sacrifice. Very few showing the boring habits that actually create wealth, because discipline isn't flashy. Consistency isn't exciting. Patience doesn't go viral. But those are the things that change lives. And here's where things become even more uncomfortable. Many people secretly want money without becoming the person capable of keeping it. They want results without transformation. They want wealth without responsibility, freedom without discipline, success without delayed gratification, but life doesn't work that way. Money amplifies who you already are. If you're disciplined with little money, you'll likely be disciplined with more. If you're reckless with little money, more money often creates bigger problems. This is why lottery winners sometimes go broke, not because money disappeared, because character wasn't ready. And character always wins eventually. There's a story about two friends. Both started with nothing. Both worked hard. Both dreamed of financial freedom. The first friend spent every extra dollar improving his appearance of success, better clothes, better gadgets, better lifestyle. The second friend invested in books, skills, courses, experiences, knowledge. For years, their lives looked similar. Then something interesting happened. Opportunities started finding the second friend. Promotions, business ideas, partnerships, connections, not because he was lucky, because he became valuable. And value attracts opportunities. Most people focus on making money. Successful people focus on becoming valuable. There's a huge difference. Money follows value. Always. The market pays for problems solved, skills mastered, value delivered, not wishes, not excuses, not intentions. And that's where many dreams die. People spend years chasing money directly. Instead of becoming the kind of person money naturally follows, it's like chasing butterflies. The harder you run after them, the faster they escape. But build a beautiful garden, and butterflies arrive on their own. The same principle applies to wealth. Build value, build skills, build discipline, build character, and opportunities begin appearing where others see nothing. But there's another reason most people stay poor, a reason nobody likes discussing: environment. Look carefully at your surroundings. The conversations around you, the beliefs around you, the attitudes around you, they are shaping your future more than you realize. If everyone around you believes success is impossible, eventually you'll start believing it too. If everyone complains about money, you'll begin thinking scarcity is normal. If everyone avoids growth, growth starts feeling uncomfortable. Humans absorb beliefs like sponges absorb water. And many people inherit financial limitations they never consciously chose. They inherit fear, scarcity, doubt, excuses, limiting beliefs, then spend decades living inside invisible mental cages. The saddest part, the cage door was never locked. They just never tried opening it. Let's go deeper. Because the biggest prison in the world is not made of steel, it's made of beliefs. And one belief destroys more financial futures than almost anything else. The belief that money is only earned through time. Think about how most people see work. They trade hours for dollars. 1 hour worked, 1 hour paid. That's the formula they've known their entire lives. School trains them for it. Society rewards it. Everyone around them reinforces it. So naturally, they assume more money means more hours. More success means more struggle. More freedom means working harder. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The richest people on earth are not selling their time. They're leveraging systems. Imagine two people. The first person digs a well by hand every single day. The second person spends time building a machine that digs wells automatically. At first, the first person appears more productive. He's working constantly, sweating, grinding, moving. The second person seems slower, sometimes even lazy. But years later, the machine keeps working. The first person is still digging. This is how many lives unfold. Most people spend decades digging. A few spend years building machines. Those machines can be businesses, skills, investments, content, networks, systems, assets. The difference is enormous. One path requires constant effort forever. The other creates results even while you sleep. This is why some people work incredibly hard and remain stuck, and others seem to move ahead much faster. It's not always effort, it's leverage. Effort matters. But effort multiplied by leverage changes everything. And yet, most people never even think about leverage because they are too busy surviving. And survival mode creates short-term thinking. When you're worried about this month's bills, it's difficult to think about 10-year wealth. When you're stressed about immediate problems, long-term opportunities become invisible. That's why poverty is not just a financial condition. It's often a psychological condition. A state where all mental energy is consumed by today's problems, leaving little room for tomorrow's possibilities. And that's exactly why breaking free requires more than earning extra money. It requires changing how you think. Let's talk about something nobody warns you about: comfort. The silent killer of ambition. Most people don't fail because life destroys them. They fail because comfort slowly sedates them. Not enough pain to change. Not enough success to grow. Just enough comfort to stay exactly where they are. Every year looks similar. Every month feels familiar. The same routines, the same excuses, the same financial reality. And because nothing dramatic happens, they assume everything is fine. Until one day they wake up and realize 10 years disappeared. 10 years gone. And nothing truly changed. That's terrifying. Not because of failure, but because of potential wasted. Imagine meeting the version of yourself that could have existed. The disciplined version, the courageous version, the focused version, the wealthy version, the confident version, and realizing you never became that person, not because you couldn't, because you didn't. That realization hurts more than failure ever could. Regret is expensive, far more expensive than risk, and many people spend their lives paying the price. But let's be honest, most people don't stay poor because they're lazy. That's too simplistic. Many poor people work incredibly hard. Some work harder than wealthy people. The issue isn't effort. The issue is direction. Imagine rowing a boat with all your strength, hours of effort, endless exhaustion, then discovering you've been rowing in the wrong direction. Hard work without direction creates frustration. Hard work with direction creates progress. This is why clarity matters. And clarity begins with a question few people ask themselves. What game am I actually playing? Most people think they're playing the money game. They're not. They're playing the identity game. Because your financial life eventually becomes a reflection of your identity. If deep down you see yourself as unlucky, your decisions will reflect it. If you see yourself as powerless, your actions will reflect it. If you believe wealth is for other people, you'll unconsciously sabotage opportunities. Identity is powerful, more powerful than motivation, because motivation comes and goes. Identity remains. Someone who sees themselves as healthy eventually behaves differently. Someone who sees themselves as disciplined behaves differently. Someone who sees themselves as financially responsible behaves differently. The transformation begins long before money appears. It begins when identity changes. This is why two people can read the same book, hear the same advice, attend the same seminar, and achieve completely different outcomes. One changes behavior, the other collects information. Knowledge alone changes nothing. Application changes everything. The world is full of people who know exactly what to do and still don't do it. Because information is not the problem. Execution is. Look around. Most people know they should save more, learn more, invest more, improve themselves, take care of their health, develop skills, yet millions don't. Why? Because human beings are emotional creatures pretending to be logical creatures. And emotions often overpower intelligence. That's why fear keeps people stuck. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of losing money, fear of looking foolish, fear of uncertainty. Fear is expensive, not because of what it costs today, because of what it steals tomorrow. Every opportunity ignored, every skill avoided, every risk postponed, every dream delayed, eventually compounds into an entirely different life. A smaller life, a safer life, a life that feels secure on the surface but secretly feels empty. And here's the irony. Many people think avoiding risk protects them. But avoiding growth is often the biggest risk of all. Imagine standing at the edge of a swimming pool. You want to learn swimming. You read books, watch videos, study techniques, analyze everything, but never enter the water. Years pass, you still can't swim. That's how many people approach wealth. They consume information endlessly, but avoid action. They wait for certainty, the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions. Meanwhile, life moves forward without them. The truth? Perfect conditions never arrive. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes from action. Courage doesn't appear first. Action creates courage. This is why successful people often look fearless, not because they never felt fear, because they acted despite fear, and every action made them stronger. There's another truth nobody talks about enough. Many people are addicted to staying the same, not consciously, subconsciously. Growth sounds exciting until it requires change, until it requires sacrifice, until it requires discomfort, until it requires becoming different. Then suddenly, the old life feels safer, even if it's making them miserable. Human beings often choose familiar pain over unfamiliar opportunity because certainty feels comforting, even when it's destroying them. Think about that. Some people remain in financial stress for years, not because they enjoy it, because it's familiar, and familiarity feels safe. The mind says, "At least I know this pain." Growth demands stepping into uncertainty, and uncertainty terrifies the human brain. That's why transformation is rare, not because it's impossible, because it's uncomfortable. But every meaningful change begins with discomfort. Every single one. The gym hurts before strength appears. Study feels difficult before knowledge appears. Practice feels awkward before mastery appears. Saving money feels restrictive before freedom appears. Discomfort is often the entrance fee to a better life. Yet most people spend years trying to avoid it, and in doing so, they accidentally avoid growth itself. Now let's talk about one of the most dangerous lies in modern society. The lie that looking successful is the same as being successful. Social media has turned appearance into a full-time occupation. People carefully curate lifestyles, photograph luxury, display status, show highlights, hide reality, and millions compare their behind-the-scenes struggles to someone else's highlight reel. The result? Pressure, insecurity, financial self-destruction. People buy things they don't need, with money they don't have, to impress people who don't care. And the cycle repeats endlessly. Because external validation is a hunger that can never be fully satisfied. The more you feed it, the hungrier it becomes. Real wealth feels different. It feels quiet, stable, peaceful, confident. It doesn't need constant applause. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't need approval. Because true wealth is not about proving something. It's about building something. And those are very different goals. Most people spend years proving, a few spend years building. The builders eventually win every time. Now, let's talk about something that almost nobody realizes until it's too late. Time. The one currency everyone spends. The one currency nobody can earn back. And the reason many people stay poor has less to do with money, and more to do with how they spend their time. Think about it. A person can lose money and recover, lose a job and recover, lose an opportunity and recover. But lose 10 years? Those years are gone forever. Yet every day, millions of people trade their future for temporary comfort. One more hour scrolling, one more episode, one more distraction, one more excuse, one more delay. It doesn't seem dangerous. That's why it's so dangerous. Because life rarely falls apart in one dramatic moment. It falls apart quietly, one small decision at a time. A missed opportunity here, a postponed goal there, a habit ignored, a skill never developed, a dream delayed. And eventually those tiny decisions become a completely different life. Success compounds. Failure compounds too. Most people understand compound interest in money. Very few understand compound interest in behavior. Imagine improving just a little every day. Learning one new skill, reading a few pages, saving a small amount, practicing communication, building discipline. None of it feels life-changing today. But 10 years later, you become almost unrecognizable. The opposite is also true. Ignore growth for 10 years. Avoid discomfort. Avoid responsibility. Avoid learning. Avoid risk. And the future arrives carrying a bill for every postponed decision. That's when people say things like, "I don't know what happened." But life knows exactly what happened. The small choices happened every single day. The frightening thing about poverty is that it often arrives gradually, so gradually that people don't notice until suddenly they're trapped, not just financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Because financial stress affects everything. Your confidence, your relationships, your health, your peace of mind, your ability to dream, your ability to take risks, your ability to enjoy life. That's why money itself isn't the goal. Freedom is. And this is where many people become confused. They spend years chasing money without understanding what they actually want. Do they really want a bigger number in a bank account? Or do they want choices? Do they want status or peace? Do they want luxury or freedom from constant worry? Most people don't want money. They want what money represents: security, opportunity, flexibility, control over their time, the ability to help loved ones, the ability to sleep peacefully, the ability to say no, the ability to live with dignity. And when you understand that, your relationship with money changes completely. Because then money stops being emotional. It becomes practical, a tool, a resource, a servant, not a master. Unfortunately, many people spend their entire lives serving money, working jobs they hate, living lives they don't enjoy, chasing approval they never receive. All because they believe happiness exists somewhere in the future. Once I make enough money, once I get that promotion, once I buy that house, once I achieve that goal, then I'll finally be happy. But happiness keeps moving. The target keeps shifting. The finish line keeps relocating. And before they know it, life is over. This is one of the greatest tragedies of modern life. People postpone living while preparing to live. They spend decades climbing a ladder without checking whether it's leaning against the right wall. And that's why wealth alone is not enough. You must also build wisdom, because without wisdom, success can become another prison. There are people with money who are miserable, people with status who feel empty, people with achievements who feel lost. Why? Because external success cannot compensate for internal confusion. The richest life is not the one with the most possessions, it's the one with the most purpose. And purpose changes everything. When you have purpose, discipline becomes easier, sacrifice becomes meaningful, patience becomes possible, growth becomes exciting. Without purpose, even success feels hollow. That's why some people work tirelessly and still feel empty. They know what they're doing, but they don't know why they're doing it. And a life without a meaningful why eventually becomes exhausting. Let's imagine two individuals. The first wakes up every morning chasing money. The second wakes up every morning building a meaningful future. On the surface, they may look identical. Both work hard, both stay busy, both pursue opportunities. But internally, they're completely different. One is driven by fear, the other by vision. One is running away from scarcity, the other is moving toward possibility. And that difference changes everything, because fear eventually burns people out. Vision energizes them. Fear creates panic. Vision creates patience. Fear creates short-term decisions. Vision creates long-term thinking. This is why mindset matters so much, not because positive thinking magically creates wealth, but because thinking influences behavior. Behavior influences results, and results shape life. Everything begins in the mind. Every business, every invention, every achievement, every transformation, every fortune, every legacy first existed as a thought, a possibility, an idea. And that's exactly why the stories you tell yourself matter. If your internal story says, "I'm bad with money," you'll behave accordingly. If it says, "People like me never become successful," you'll unconsciously prove yourself right. If it says, "I'm always unlucky," you'll stop looking for opportunities. Your brain constantly searches for evidence supporting your identity. So be careful what identity you feed it, because eventually it becomes reality. This is why changing your financial life often starts by changing your self-image, not fake confidence, not pretending, not empty affirmations, real self-respect, real responsibility, real growth. The kind earned through action. The kind built one promise at a time. You tell yourself you'll save money, and you do it. You tell yourself you'll learn a skill, and you do it. You tell yourself you'll stop making excuses, and you do it. Each action becomes evidence. Each promise kept strengthens identity. Each small victory transforms self-belief. And eventually, the person who once doubted themselves become someone they barely recognize. This transformation is available to almost anyone, but most people never experience it. Because they underestimate small actions, they wait for giant breakthroughs, life-changing moments, massive opportunities, dramatic success, yet most transformations happen quietly in ordinary days. In invisible habits, in choices, nobody notices, the workout, nobody applauds, the money saved, nobody sees, the skill practiced in private, the discipline maintained when motivation disappears. These moments look insignificant until years later, then they look like destiny, but they were never destiny, they were decisions repeated consistently over time. That's the secret many wealthy people understand, and many struggling people overlook. Your future is not created in dramatic moments, it's created in daily moments. And daily moments are available to everyone, right now, today, not next year, not when conditions improve, not when life becomes easier, today, this moment. Because the truth about money is not really about money, it's about responsibility, it's about choices, it's about habits, it's about patience, it's about character. It's about becoming someone capable of building a better life. And that's the shocking truth most people never hear. The reason many people stay poor is not because opportunities don't exist. It's because transformation feels uncomfortable. Growth feels uncertain. Discipline feels difficult. Patience feels slow. And immediate pleasure feels easier. So they choose what is easy today and accidentally create what is difficult tomorrow, while others choose what is difficult today and create freedom tomorrow. That's the difference. Not luck, not magic, not secret formulas. Choices, repeated over time. Now imagine yourself 10 years from today. Close your eyes for a second. Picture that future version of you. Where are you? How do you feel? What kind of life are you living? What opportunities surround you? What confidence do you carry? What peace do you possess? Now ask yourself one question. Will that future happen automatically? Or will it be created by the decisions you make starting today? Because whether you realize it or not, you're already building your future. Every day, every habit, every action, every excuse, every sacrifice, every decision, brick by brick. And one day, you'll live inside what you're building right now. So build carefully, build intentionally, build courageously. Don't spend your life trying to look successful. Become successful. Don't spend your life chasing approval. Build value. Don't spend your life waiting for perfect conditions. Start where you are. Use what you have. Learn what you need. Become who you're capable of becoming. Because the greatest tragedy is not dying poor. The greatest tragedy is dying with potential that never became reality. Knowing you could have done more, been more, created more, given more, lived more. And here's the beautiful part. If you're listening to this right now, your story is still being written. Nothing is finished. Nothing is decided. Nothing is permanent. You can choose differently, think differently, act differently, grow differently, starting today. And years from now, when people look at your life and call you lucky, you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck. It was the small decisions, the difficult choices, the quiet discipline, the invisible sacrifices, the courage to change, the willingness to grow, and the refusal to remain the person you used to be. That's how wealth is built. That's how freedom is built. That's how a remarkable life is built. One decision at a time, one day at a time, one promise at a time, until eventually, the life you once imagined becomes the life you live, and that is a future worth fighting for.